tonight, a plea to the public to help track down a vehicle that may be connected to last month's murder in Bay Roberts. That story and
when people visit and get care in spaces like this, it does do some meaningful work.
The Waterford obviously was really old, it was run down, and I think it's really hard to get better in an environment that is like that.
From the Waterford to the new mental health facility, we hear from advocates about how they feel about the replacement.
The federal and provincial governments are convinced that tourists are hungry for what Newfoundland and Labrador has to offer.
And just like we can take your breath away when you visit Western Brook Pond or when you float by in Twillingate, we need to do more and more in the take your breath away from the culinary experience piece.
And they're putting their money where their mouths are. Coming up on Here and Now.
Well, we're down here at King George V Soccer Field for Memorial University's last weekend of AUS play. I'll have all the details from down here and the weather coming up.
This
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. The province's independent police watchdog has cleared RNC officers involved in the death of a man taken into custody last year. CERT NL released its findings earlier today. Police responded to a possible overdose at Hotel Corner Brook on Christmas Eve. Now, the man was brought to the hospital first and then to the lockup. He reportedly became unresponsive in his cell and was declared dead in hospital the following day. CERT NL says an autopsy showed internal bleeding from a broken rib caused his death. The report says it's likely the man inflicted those injuries on himself when he fell several times. CERT's report concludes that police officers could not have foreseen that the man would die in custody. Well, do you recognize this Honda Civic? Police believe it's connected to a murder that happened September 30th in Bay Roberts. The RCMP say the Civic was in the parking lot at the Tim Hortons and the Needs convenience store on LT Stick Drive, where some kind of altercation took place. It's a 2012 four-door, brownish gray with a Newfoundland and Labrador license plate HXG 585. Now, at the time, police say it had a loud exhaust system and something covering the front driver's side window. Officials believe the car may have changed hands a number of times, and the person who currently has it might not know it's connected to their investigation. So if you do have any information, please contact the police. Well, the Waterford Hospital's replacement is expected to open in spring of 2025 with fewer beds than its predecessor once had. As Here and Now's Maddie Ryan reports, one mental health advocate questions how accessible care at the new facility will be.
Expected to open in the new year, this mental health and addiction center will replace the crumbling Waterford, which dates back to 1855. This mental health advocate says it's about time. Christy Allen demonstrates outside the Confederation building every week.
I think that the Waterford obviously was really old, it was run down, and I think it's really hard to get better in an environment that is like that.
And with a new facility comes a new look, with lots of colors and artwork. Chandra Kavanagh, head of the province's Canadian Mental Health Association, says that a more modern approach is key.
I think that when people visit and get care in spaces like this, it does do some meaningful work to impact the stigma that we can sometimes experience when it comes to mental health and addictions. Simply coming to a beautiful space full of natural light with thought-provoking artwork is a very different experience than going to, an older building that may not have been well kept, for example.
But there are fewer beds here than the Waterford, and Alan wonders if it'll be enough.
When they said it was going to be less beds, they said that the needs were going to be met in the community. And I actually had been a part of consultations for a walk-in center, and have been in them for the last while. And I have major questions. Is it going to open up at the same time? Because that's supposed to meet a lot of needs for people with mental illness and going through crisis, etc. So are they going to provide the community support that will make the less demand for the beds? That is concerning to me because they have to do that in order for it to work.
Unlike the Waterford Hospital, patients won't live here long term. Kavanaugh says this center will be part of a larger network of support.
There are more opportunities to work within communities and to have beds in communities. So I don't think it represents a reduction in services. That being said, I think that there is always more opportunity and more support needed for mental health concerns and addictions issues, especially as we see the rise in mental health concerns and addictions issues.
As mental health concerns continue to rise in the province, Advocate Christy Allen hopes the new facility will reduce stigma around asking for help. And she hopes nobody will be turned away because of the fewer numbers of beds in this building. Maddie Ryan, CBC News, St. John's.
Now, the Waterford Hospital has reduced its number of beds in recent years. Both the old and new facility now have around 100 beds, but several years ago, the Waterford offered up to 140, dozens more than the new facility. And CBC was invited to tag along for a tour of the new Mental Health and Addiction Centre ahead of its opening later next spring. Have a look.
The idea around the way that we provide care is people usually aren't actually behind here. They're out meeting with patients and talking to them or meeting with families. But this is the care station, and you'll see the same care station on each of the floors. So this is a group therapy room. So this is a huge upgrade from what we have right now at the Waterford Hospital. So in here you'll see programming from all different types of allied health staff. And now we move to the dining room. So each of the units in the hospital have their own dining room. So the dining room has its own servery that allows patients to have choice in their meals. So you can head right up, if you're a patient here and it's supper time, you get to head on up and choose one of the custom choice options from the buffet. This is an exam room, so the physician or nurse practitioner or one of the nurses on the team could meet a patient in here and do an exam if they had a physical health need that needed to be assessed. We do have a spiritual place in this hospital, so this is a non-denominational room where we can have any type of ceremonies or services. So these are used for mindfulness practices. Folks can walk around, really think as they move through the labyrinth. There's also two spaces here for spiritual care clinicians to meet with clients and patients. So each bedroom is very similar. They have a bathroom with a shower as well as a desk and storage space. As we leave the Waterford Hospital, often we get asked about the beautiful green space of the Waterford. So when you come out here, you'll actually see more beautiful green space, even though you're on Prince Philip Drive. We have this beautiful piece of art by Philippa Jones, and it's made of resin balls that all include things that were found in Newfoundland. So it could be things like pine cones, a sea urchin, flowers, seaweed, even parts of birds. And we're very proud of this piece.
Well, more than $1 million has been forked over to cook up new ways to attract more tourists with this province's culinary delights. The money comes from both the federal and provincial governments. Here Now's Mark Quinn has the details.
Dig in, townies, baymen and CFAs. Newfoundland's more than just a feast for your eyes.
Treats like these can draw staycationers and come-from-away tourists alike, say federal and provincial government officials, who together have announced more than $1.2 million to promote culinary tourism in this province.
Food is the thing that binds us, right? And we have incredible, talented chefs and cooks in our province. How do we now work together?
Jill Curran started serving up Fairyland Lighthouse picnics many years ago, and she says money from ACOA and the province will help develop new ways and places for visitors to enjoy eating in Newfoundland and Labrador.
So we're here today on O'Brien's farm. Maybe there's food elements of touring or food offerings that could be here. I mean, I've been able to offer a food offering at a lighthouse. There's operators that are going to operate boat tours, which allow you to catch cod. So there's different experiential tourism products that get you either foraging, maybe, involved in cooking lessons in your food preparation. So it's a multifaceted kind of approach that I think people can take towards their businesses.
Curran says good food creates powerful memories, memories that become the stories people share when they return home.
There is no doubt about it that memories are created around food, and Newfoundland and Labrador, through our travel company, every day we get people that remember what it tastes. The first fish that they actually caught and split and cooked that day. That's a memory that'll go beyond, and a story that'll go beyond. And as we know, it is the stories that sells the visitor on the idea of visiting Newfoundland and Labrador.
The people who spoke here at the farm say food has the potential to bring tourists here earlier and keep them around even longer. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, it's a big weekend for Memorial University's soccer teams. Both the women's and the men's teams are taking on Mount Allison in the final 2 games of the season. And there's a lot on the line. Jeremy Eaton is down at King George V Field in St. John's, where the women's game is well underway. So, Jeremy, how's it going down there?
In a word, it's cold, but I should have known that coming into it. As you can see, the play is happening here behind us. Memorial University wearing the white. The Mount Allison Mounties, I believe, wearing the burgundy. And currently, right now, the Memorial University is up 2-0. These are the last 2 games of the regular season, and depending on what happens here and elsewhere in the Atlantic University sports soccer world, it'll determine what the playoff rankings are. Now, last night, one of the videographers we work with, Olivia Garrett, went out and shot some of the practice of the women's team, and take a look at what they had to say about this weekend.
Challenging every year. The level of play in the league's really high. We started a little bit slowly in terms of results. Performances have been good, but with the competition so tight, results and performance don't always correlate. You know, we were a little bit slow getting some points on the board early in the season, but in the latter parts of the season, we've been really coming along nicely, and we've positioned ourselves well. Looking forward to the playoffs.
Super fun, super competitive. We have a really, really talented squad this season. We have a couple new recruits, one from Ontario and one from Switzerland, and a couple girls local as well. And all of these girls have really contributed well to our team, and we're growing as a group. I'm really, really enjoying it, and I'm so excited for our weekend, because this weekend will determine if we make playoffs or not.
We had some ups and downs so far, but we have 2 games this weekend, and we're gonna win those, and I'm excited.
My team has been super helpful in that. Like, I wouldn't be able to score if there were girls distributing the ball to me. Me and my wingers have a really good chemistry. They do a lot of work on the side, and they put in some great balls. And with that, I'm able to put a lot of balls in the back of the net. And as well, I'm very hungry for the back of the net. That's what my parents always said there. I'm hungry to score. So those factors combined end up putting a lot of balls in the back of the net.
We want to finish as high up the standings as we possibly can. If things go really well this weekend at home, and potentially with some help with some games on the mainland, we could finish as high as 3rd place in the league. You know, 3rd, 4th is certainly within our capacity and our reach, so we'll be looking to do that. You definitely don't want to go into the playoffs with any sort of negativity or hiccups or lacking momentum. So the games are absolutely important.
In the past 3 seasons, we've always gotten to the semifinals. So I would really like to turn the corner, get to the semifinals, win the semifinals, and then go on to play in the final and hopefully win it.
So the men's team will play after this women's game happens here. We're going to chat to a member of that team later on about what the weekend means to them, and I'll have your forecast, all that and more, coming up later on the show. Reporting live from King George V, I'm Jeremy Eaton for Here and Now.
It's not about opinion anymore, it's about facts and dealing with facts. And we've said all along we thought the facts were on our side.
Request denied. We have the latest on the FFAW's fight to block offshore access to cod. And the Newfoundland Drone Racing League flew into our CBC radio studio in St. John's this afternoon and showed off some pretty slick moves with a little obstacle course there. If you're quick, you can catch Weekend AM host Heather Barrett in the mix there, along with our camera operator Curtis Hicks. We'll share that conversation with you on Mondays. Here and Now. Stay with us. More news and weather is on the way. Well, the FFAW's request for an injunction that would suspend the reopening of the northern cod fishery has been dismissed. In its decision yesterday, the federal court found the injunction was not justified. Now, the union had objected to allowing offshore access to the cod fishery and wanted to stop its reopening while the case was being heard. While the FFAW says it's disappointed with the decision, Ocean Choice International welcomes it. The fishing company has 2 offshore groundfish vessels in its fleet. In June, the offshore fishery was allocated 6%, or just over 1,000 metric tons, out of a total domestic quota of 18,000 metric tons for northern cod.
When you go to court, it's not about opinion anymore, it's about facts and dealing with facts. And we've said all along we thought the facts were on our side. The court decision sort of verified that. It was pretty much a repudiation of the FFAW case. A couple of key notes, I think, from the judge's ruling is, how do you reconcile the fact that they advocated for a 25,000 metric ton fishery, but thought 18,000 with a small amount, 6% to our sector, would do irreparable harm. That really didn't stand up in the view of the judge or us, or I think anybody in the public for that matter. And trying to strike down the decision, reverting to last year's decision. Well, last year's decision was 13,000 tons, and the insurer's already caught its full 15,000 and change allocation for this year. So how do you revert back to a decision when they've already gone beyond last year's decision? So as the justice said, that fish has swum. We think industry should be working more cooperatively. We've been advocating and promoting a balanced fishery, not just on cod, but on other fisheries. In this particular case, you've had a decision with 18,000 tons that will be exclusively harvested, processed, and marketed by Newfoundland and Labrador companies. The inshore sector with the 83%, the Indigenous sector with their 10%, and our offshore sector with 6%. All of our production, our vessels are crewed by Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, almost exclusively. The product that we're going to fish will come in and will get further processed at Icewater Fisheries, Icewater Seafoods in Arnold's Cove, creating longer, more meaningful jobs in Arnold's Cove, reducing their reliance on importing frozen at sea cod from Norway. I don't understand the negativity around any of this when you've got that sort of benefits across the board accruing to Newfoundland and Labrador in all sectors. The balanced fishery approach that we've talked about, we think it's a win for everyone. We'll continue to advocate for that.
So the FFAW now has the option to ask for a judicial review, which would then be heard sometime in 2025. With the injunction struck down for now, Bonnell says OCI will start fishing in the coming weeks. Well, staying with the province's wildlife, an awareness campaign around unwanted invasive species can now be found island-wide. The Don't Let It Loose campaign is a partnership between the Stewardship Association of Municipalities and the DFO. It highlights the negative impact non-native species can have on an ecosystem and reminds people to not release them into the wild. The campaign started with signs in the St. John's area, and now 15 more signs are up in Gander, Grand Falls, Windsor, and Corner Brook. The campaign came to the province last year after red-eared turtles had been spotted in Bowring Park.
Sometimes they take these pets and they just let them loose in the environment thinking they're going to survive on their own. We just want to inform people that these are invasive species and they could take over a whole ecosystem and do a lot more damage to the system than what should be done. And they could harm the actual species that are living there now.
So here's what we've gathered from talking to local residents.
I spoke with a renter who's facing eviction this fall.
It is not for the weak of stomachs.
What does it mean for you to be able to give that advice and to know that you've helped?
Don't look down.
If this is something that you didn't know about, let me tell you.
Heather Gillis, CBC News, Happy Valley Goose Bay.
St. John's.
Corner Brook.
Shaji, Inuk First Nation.
Grand Falls, Windsor.
New West Valley, Newfoundland and Labrador.
Speaking of everywhere, Jeremy is down at King George V Field this evening. It's a big weekend for Munn soccer players. The men's and women's teams both are taking on Mount Allison in the final game of the season.
Let's take a quick look now at tonight's weather. You can tell right away that I've made an error with this system. As we all know, it's one of my favorite systems to work with. It's supposed to say 30 to 50 kilometers an hour northwest winds there in Cartwright. And I tried to put it in up to 70 kilometers an hour in Black Tickle. However, when I tried to edit it, it wasn't going to work. Anyways, at least you know what the wind speeds will be like in Black Tickle tonight. Now, as you can see all across the province, it's pretty clear skies tonight, ranging in temperatures from 3 degrees in St. John's, 7 in Port-aux-Basque, 2 in St. Anthony. Labrador, Central Labrador, Western Labrador gets a little bit chillier, coming in at -4 and -1, and with the wind chill, it'll be even colder overnight. But so far, weekend is off to a good start. Now, if we take a look at the future tracker, we're going to see what's going to bring in a pretty nice day tomorrow on Saturday, almost all the way across the province. As you can see, there's not much to be looking at overnight and into the early morning hours. There is that system sort of rain coming through on Saturday around Labrador City, Churchill Falls, and into Happy Valley Goose Bay. But for the island, it should be a very nice day on Saturday, which we've all been waiting for. It's been pretty wet for many places this past week, which has been a lot of fun for me filling in doing the weather. So here's the temperatures that we're looking at tomorrow. As I was saying, Saturday is going to be a nice day. I think I've been saying this all week. Like St. John's 10, Ferryland 11, Marystown 11. But look at those. It's basically calling for sunny skies. A little bit, could be a little bit warmer, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. So Grand Falls, Windsor, and Central there, 12 degrees, 13 in Harbour Breton. And then as we move to the west coast, you could see some showers on the west coast and up into the northern peninsula, but right now it's looking like it's going to be a beauty day all across the island. Now, as you make your way up into Cartwright and the Straits there as well, a little bit of cloud cover and the same thing. Now, Nain might get a bit of rain tomorrow, but not much. Basically, that system should pass through. So it's shaping up to be a solid Saturday, which is something that we've all been hoping for. And now if we're going to look ahead, there is another system that's going to come in. It's going to bring some rain into Labrador. As again, it's going to start on Saturday and it's going to continue Saturday evening. You can see that green monster of precipitation moving across most of the big land there and then the tip of the northern peninsula there. So it might be a little bit damp for you folks up in Labrador. For the rest of us on the island and most of the province, it should be an all right Saturday. And as you can see, that's going to move off and then the cloud cover is going to come in. The temperatures are going to drop up. They've sort of warmed up for the weekend, but they'll cool off into the rest of the week. Now, if you look down there at the city of St. John's, the look ahead on Sunday, you can see 16 degrees. Now, our colleague Heather Barrett helps organize the Cape to Cabot running race. So that'll be getting underway at Cape Spear at 8 a.m. on Sunday. Environment Canada tells me that there's going to be not much cloud. It'll be clear skies, no precipitation. It's going to be dry. And during race time, which is between 8 and 11 a.m., it's going to be about 8 to 10 degrees. So if you are taking part in the Cape to Cabot over the weekend, you got a great day for running. I was going to take part, but my hips said, no way, Jeremy. No way that you're going to make 20 kilometers. So it's shaping up to be a great day on Sunday, and we'll have more in the long-range forecast coming up. Yeah, there's no way I'm going to be able to run the Cape to Cabot. I trained for it, just not in shape, but I'm with two fellas who are in pretty good shape. They're the assistant coaches for the Memorial Men's Seahawks team. Jake Warren, Carter Mackey. Jake, about to take the field here against Mount Allison. How's the season going so far?
Yeah, you know, it's been pretty good, I must say. We've had some good success, and like any of the university seasons, it's up and down sometimes, a bit of a roller coaster, but we've done well, got good results, and we're in the mix now, coming up now next week, maybe, not 100% confirmed yet, but for the playoffs, so we're looking forward to maybe trying to have a go at that next week.
So, Carter, can you explain how that works? Like how you make the playoffs or what happens with the playoff pitcher?
Yes, so we're not clinched the playoffs yet, so we need results the weekend. 1 point should do us, so a tie should be good, but obviously we're looking for 6 points, 2 wins going into the playoffs would be nice. And then, yeah, we go from there.
So it's a game against the Mount Allison. Are they still called the Mounties?
Yeah, I believe so.
So big game. So what are you hoping for to see out on the field here behind us for the men to do to beat Mount Allison tonight and tomorrow night?
Well, I mean, we prepare all week for these matchups, so we've got game plans in place, and hopefully we can execute it. I mean, that's half the battle. This is, having the X's and O's, and then being able to execute to get the 3 points. Like Carter was saying, we need a result, so a tie would be pretty good. Obviously, we want to win every game, but we'd be okay with just a result in either of the games. But just execute in the game plan and hopefully get 3 points.
Now, it's a lot of they're both former soccer players as well. Is it hard for you to sit back and watch when you're, as a coach now, as a former player, to sit back and see if they shag something up? You're like, come on, fellas, I could have done that. Is it a hard transition to go from player to assistant coach?
No, I don't think it was. Obviously, it'd be nice to be out there, but at the same time, I mean, I like seeing the boys have success, seeing them go through it. They're a joy to coach, and they're great kids, and no one was there before, but now just kind of looking at them and seeing them have success, it's good to see. Yeah, no, I'm very happy. Yeah.
So I know, like, university sports, it runs September and into October, so it's a pretty quick season at the beginning of the year. Yeah. There's a number of fans down here, but how would you sell this game to somebody if they're watching at home in St. John's and they might want to come out to check out some action tomorrow evening?
I mean, I think what's different with the university, it is a whole different kind of like brand of soccer, I suppose. A lot of soccer fans here in the province, we have the senior leagues here. But one thing, especially as a player, it is a completely different type of soccer and speed and all that. So it's always exciting. You get to see different faces that you're playing against. So you never really know what you're getting each year to year as well. So it's a great time. We try to get a good crowd out, but
sorry,
there's the ball coming through.
We're impeding the action.
Go ahead.
We got about 30 seconds left. I know that this is a King George V field. This is the premier best field we have, but we're going to have a new one that's going to open up by the ACK Arena there. In the last couple of seconds, Carter, real quick, how nice would it be for this team now behind us to have a new field in about 2 seasons?
I mean, most other universities have a...
Yeah, sorry, we'll be done in we're just live TV. Just give us 1 more second. They just asked us to switch off the lights. We're going to have to shut her down. All right, sorry about that. Anyways, that's it. Thanks a lot, Jake. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Very much. That's an awesome. That was wicked.
Through my mind on race day is to avoid running hard up this hill. This is the killer hill.
Well, Cape to Cabot, where running Signal Hill is only part of the challenge. We'll meet a couple of streakers next. Well, it's one of the most grueling races in the province. The Cape to Cabot race is happening on Sunday. Weekend AM's Heather Barrett caught up with some of the ambitious runners known as the Streakers.
Standing at the foot of Temperance Street, it is the last mile of the Cape to Cabot race, the last 1.6 kilometers. It's all uphill. On race day, what will be going through your mind?
Through my mind on race day is to avoid running hard up this hill. This is the killer hill because there's a huge crowd up there cheering you on, and your inclination is to power up this hill as fast as you can and look great. And then what happens is you arrive there with all of Signal Hill ahead of you and your legs are done. So you gotta go slowly up this hill.
And what is your strategy for this on race day?
Well, when I get here, I figure I got her done. 11 miles in, I can crawl the last mile if I have to. And that's it. Just take your time, get up the hill.
Okay, let's walk up now. So, Ken, we are at the finish line. What's going to be going through your mind on Sunday morning once you get here?
I was just glad I got it done. Another one under the belt.
Yeah, that's all that matters is finishing. So all I'm going to be looking at is that finish line, which is right about here somewhere.
So how did you guys get interested in running the first Cape to Cabot race, I guess 18 races ago?
Well, we just moved back to Newfoundland in 2007, the first year that Cape to Cabot was run, and I was into running back then more than I am now, so it just looked like a great race, and right from that first year it was a great race with, I think they sold out pretty well every year. My wife started this thing called the Streakers, which is all those who've run every race, including Ken and I and 6 others. And with that pressure of having to do every race, I keep being forced back. Otherwise, I think I would have retired by now. I think most are in their 60s, so everyone's wondering who's going to be the last one standing. And I suspect the advantage goes to the youngest, who is probably in his 50s.
Jeff Burns,
yeah.
We got our money on Jeff Burns.
Yeah, that's right. I'm running out of time on this one, I think.
How long are you guys going to keep doing it?
If I get to 20, that might be time to stop, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, same here. Aim for around 20. If I can do that, that'll be good.
Now, Ken, I understand that you went, especially one year, to great lengths to actually not break your streak. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, back in 2012, I did one of the races in August. I'm not sure which one it was, probably one of the Paradise races. And my foot was hurting really bad. I went to the doctor and it was plantar fasciitis. So he told me to stay off it for 5 or 6 months, basically. So he gave me the boot.
Boot cast.
The boot cast. And so I was wearing that. I did sign for the race, planning just to walk or hobble through it. But anyway, I took the cast off and I did the race. I didn't do any running in between. I done some cycling during that time period. And then once that was done, I put the boot back on. I didn't race again until April of the following year.
What did your doctor think of that?
I didn't tell him that.
Chris, what lengths have you gone to not break your Cape to Cabot streak?
Well, this year is probably going to be the toughest one, where I've hardly been training and been injured half the year. So I'll let you know Sunday afternoon. But what I really love about this race is there's so many volunteers that are encouraging and inspiring along the way, and fans. You get a ton of fans in this race, and for some reason I always do better in this race than any training run, so I really enjoy that. First doing this race, it was the first or second year. I can remember running up just before Signal Hill. There was a guy had set up like a little schoolyard desk there, and he had drinks, and he was saying refreshments, drinks, and I was about to grab one. I said, "What is it, water?" He said, "No, beer." And back then I was just a rookie, but now I think if it was beer, I'd take it before Signal Hill.
Yes, for sure, yeah. You need something to help you get up that hill.
Well, Canada today detailed a $65 million military aid package for Ukraine, part of $500 million pledged last July. Today's announcement came at the NATO Defense Ministers Summit, where Bill Blair said the alliance has reaffirmed its commitment in meetings with Ukraine's president.
We spoke a great deal about NATO's strong and united resolve to support Ukraine as it defends itself against Russia's unprovoked and illegal invasion, and we remain all collectively committed to, more than ever, to this support, and we will continue to do more to help Ukrainians in their courageous fight.
The Canadian package announced today includes small arms, ammunition, and training. Since the Russian invasion, Canada has committed more than $4.5 billion in military aid. Well, Manitoba signed a deal today with the federal government to expand food programs in schools. Premier Wab Kinew says it means more children will be showing up healthy for class and graduating.
Those kids are going to be more successful. Their lifetime earnings are going to be higher. Their health outcomes are going to be better over the course of their lives. And you know what happens with the investment that we're announcing today? Everyone in Canada is better off for having healthier kids, achieving more over the course of their lifetimes.
Well, Ottawa will be contributing about $17 million to the program. Manitoba has earmarked $30 million. It's the second province to sign on to the federal program after Newfoundland and Labrador. Chiefs of the Assembly of First Nations said today they want changes made to a deal to reform the on-reserve child welfare system. The AFN rejected the federal government's $48.6 billion offer yesterday.
Draft resolution number 1 does not carry, so is defeated.
The AFN wants a new process with a new negotiating team. It voted in favor today of restarting negotiations with Ottawa to get an amended offer. Government must now decide whether to do that or make regional deals with groups which favored the most recent offer. Well, Ottawa doctors say they're getting bogged down by Ottawa's return to office mandate. As public servants come looking for doctor's notes, it's creating a mountain of paperwork and cutting into time for patient care. Arthur White-Crummy reports.
Dr. Derek McClellan spends every Wednesday dealing with paperwork, all day. Since the federal government pushed its employees back to the office 3 days a week, his public servant patients are adding to the pile.
Typically, someone comes to see me, they've spoken to a manager who said, yeah, go get a medical note if you want to be exempt from these things.
So they do, but that isn't the end of Dr. McClellan's tasks. The patients return to his Riverside South medical office with multi-page forms, sometimes twice.
Looking at the family med crisis right now in the province as a whole, one of the biggest issues is the admin burden, right? So paperwork, time spent doing things that are not directly related to patient care. And so one of the biggest things with this is just adding more paperwork.
Ottawa family doctors first noticed the problem over the spring and summer, after the federal government announced its new return to office mandate. But departments also have a duty to accommodate employees with barriers, and federal directives tell managers to seek documentation. McClellan says that can mean tension with patients if he doesn't see a valid medical reason for their request.
We have no business being involved in this conversation, so it definitely creates some animosity.
Dr. Alex Duong agrees. He says the federal government is downloading its accommodation problem onto family doctors, creating friction in the exam room and eating up their time.
We're being asked to police these return to work policies for the federal government, which is frankly, it's not an effective use of our time. We already have a shortage of doctors. What happens is that the more time I'm spending on these forms, the less time I'm able to spend on patients.
Duong sees an easy solution to the problem.
The government can hire their own physicians who have an interest in occupational medicine to determine restrictions as well.
Arthur White-Crummy, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, it's Friday, so let's find out who's celebrating. Congratulations to Clarence and Eileen Penny of Lewisport, who are celebrating their 60th wedding anniversary today. Happy 56th anniversary to Russell and Laverne Langdon in Corner Brook. Anniversary greetings going out to Marilyn and Noel Lundrigan of Markland, who are marking 50 years of marriage. Happy 64th anniversary to David and Betty Bynum of Peterview. Wishing Ray and Jen White of Badger a happy 58th anniversary. It's a golden anniversary tomorrow for Evelyn and Gord Bishop of Cavendish, Trinity Bay. Happy 65th anniversary to Esau and Evelyn Mercer of Spaniards Bay. Happy 50th anniversary to Keith and Cynthia Farrell. They celebrate tomorrow. Another 50th anniversary, Brian and Anita Din are celebrating that milestone in Bay Bulls. Happy 54th anniversary to Catherine and Eugene Devereaux of Spanish Room. Congratulations to Anne-Marie and Finton Alexander on their 65th anniversary. Wishing Lloyd and Georgina Fudge of Burgeo a happy 61st anniversary. Happy 64th anniversary to Betty Lou and Walter Bursey of Lewisport. Sunny and Francis Winters of Happy Valley Goose Bay are marking 65 years of marriage. Happy 58th anniversary to John and Donna Lehman of Gull Island. Best wishes to Linda and Tom Boland of Calvert on their 54th anniversary. Anniversary greetings going out to Jerry and Nita Baird. They've been married 65 years. Happy 59th wedding anniversary to Linda and Dermot of Trepassey. Congratulations to Charlie and Clara Strobridge of Mount Pearl. Their 61st anniversary is Monday. Happy 61st anniversary today to Wilfred and Stella Button of Lead Cove. 60th anniversary greetings going out to Alfred and Bessie Osmond of Norris Arm North. Happy 55th anniversary today to Gerald and Marion Parsons. They live in Happy Valley Goose Bay. Happy 61st anniversary to Cecil and Delilah Hunt from Dover. Congratulations to Ruth and Ralph Janes on their 70th anniversary. They're from Codroy Valley, but now live in Stephenville. Wishing Lloyd and Jean Baker of St. John's a happy 69th anniversary. Lots of love from family and friends. Bernice and Cyril Penny of Gander are celebrating their 70th wedding anniversary on Sunday. Now to some birthdays. Happy 94th birthday today to Mary Pope of Portabasque. Wishing Ruby Walsh of Corner Brook a happy 90th birthday on Sunday. Happy 92nd birthday to Margaret Pride of Twillingate, now living in Lewisport. Birthday greetings going out to Elizabeth Woodford of Lakeview. She's marking her 90th. Mary Lewis of Colliers is celebrating her 96th birthday today. Happy 92nd birthday today to Classy Marshall of Portabasque. Melva Nichols of Deer Lake is also celebrating a 92nd birthday today. And happy 101st birthday to Laura Grandy in Marystown. Hope you have a wonderful day. Happy 92nd birthday to Beatrice Durnford of François, now living in Burgeo. Birthday greetings going out to Albert Knoll in Carbonear, who will be 94 years young on Sunday. Happy birthday to Eva White of Deer Lake, who turns 96 today. Happy 92nd birthday today to William Collins of Placentia. Happy 93rd birthday to Glenna Ash in Corner Brook. Birthday greetings going out to Jerry Baird, who just turned 88. Wishing Gilbert O'Keefe of Stephenville Crossing a happy 92nd birthday on Sunday. Happy birthday to Doris Hines in Mount Pearl. She's celebrating her 93rd birthday. And happy birthday to Eileen Buckle of Corner Brook, who turns 91 on Sunday.
Well, let's take a quick look now at the long-range forecast heading into the weekend. As we chatted about earlier this evening, you're going to see a bit of precipitation make its way into Labrador on Saturday, and that's going to pass through the entire Big Land Saturday evening into the Saturday into the Sunday overnight. And my friends at Environment Canada don't really have the amount of precipitation yet, but it doesn't seem to be too much, nothing that they're too concerned about at this point. And as always, a shout out to our friends at the Gander Weather Office, including Allison Shepard, who helped me here today try to get through this forecast. And as you can see, the cloud cover is going to completely engulf the Big Land and then into the island as well. There's going to be a pocket of rain, as you can see. And then that'll sort of continue probably into the week. So enjoy the sunshine while you can, because it's looking like into next week, the sun is going to go away for a couple of days. But take a quick look at these temperatures. If the sun holds on the island and in Cartwright, and if it breaks through in Happy Valley Goose Bay and Labrador City, it's going to be a beautiful day across the province. 14 degrees in Grand Falls, Windsor, 15 in Marystown. So it could be a beauty day if weather holds, and we all know what the weather's like. It is a fickle thing and fluid and always moving. So the look ahead there into Sunday, you can see those temperatures we just talked about. Hopefully that sticks ahead. Now, if we look ahead into the long range, Sunday evening, more rain. This is what I'm talking about. See that cloud cover and the rain is going to come across. Well, that's Monday morning's problem. That's not today's problem. So you'll see it'll probably be a wet start to the week next week. But let's just enjoy what we have coming into the weekend, which is what we're all sort of hoping for. Let's take a quick look at the long-range forecast there. 17 degrees on Monday, be a beauty day. Saturday, Sunday, but then the rain's going to come on Monday. It's going to be a similar story there in Central. Oops, missed a cloud there in Western Newfoundland, but there's probably going to be some showers there as well. And as we make our way into Labrador, into the Big Land, same thing. You're going to get a mixture of showers and flurries there in Western Labrador on Monday and Tuesday, but no real accumulation. The temperature may dip down on Monday evening, but overall, it's shaping up to be a lovely weekend. It was a lot of fun for me to hang out with you all the last 2 weeks, filling in for Carolyn and now filling in for Ashley, but everything will be back to normal on Monday.
And it's been great to have you, Jeremy. The last time we checked in with you down there, you were getting the boot off of King George V field in St. John. So what happened? What did they say to you?
So, oh no, well, the linesmen, they were about to do a corner kick, and we had the bright light, the panel light, so we looked so good, and that was bright, and they asked us just to turn off the light. A ball had rolled in between our legs. We did our best to deal with it. We were in the way, just like we are in the way now. We're in the way now, but this young man said he'd keep an eye on me right here. What's your name? What's your name, real quick?
Robert.
Robert says he's going to keep an eye on it. They're not going to throw us out. This is the Memorial University men's team. They're about to have a very important game against Mount Allison. Really quick, Robert, what do you need to do to win?
I think if we work together as a team and everybody does what they need to do individually, I think we'll have no problem getting 3 points here today.
Well, Robert, I wish you the best of luck. Thanks for the protecting. He got the special gloves for it. It's a little bit chilly down here. I wish somebody had told me about that before coming down here. I would have wore me mitts. Anyways, what are we looking at for time there?
Jeremy, it's just been great having you with us this week. I know you mentioned Ashley's going to be back on Monday, but looks like you're having fun down there and that it's all going well. Thank you so much.
Well, always a pleasure. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thanks to Julie and Bernard in the room as well.
All right. Good night, Jeremy. Well, between the competition on the field at King George V in St. John's and the Cape to Cabot race coming up this Sunday, it's shaping up to be a really big weekend for athletes on the Avalon, and it looks like the weather is going to be on their side, especially on Sunday, as Jeremy was saying, for the Cape to Cabot race. Looks like it's going to be a very nice day for those runners. And thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us. I hope you have a great weekend and hope to see you back here again on Monday. Good night.